Imagine waking up in your 30s or maybe even your early 40s knowing that work is optional. Imagine the freedom to make the choices based on what you want, not what you have to do to pay your bills. That, my friends, is the dream of financial freedom. But the question I have for you on this video today, is it possible in today's world to break free from the 40-year grind and retire early without relying on a 401k or the so-called safe plan we've all been sold? Most people are told that retirement means waiting, grinding, and sacrificing until you're in your mid-60s or early 70s. But what if I told you that there is actually a shortcut, a way to cut off years off of the traditional path and gain true financial freedom on your terms? Think about it kind of like the Panama Canal. Rather than sailing all the way around the southern tip of South America, you would have a direct path that saved days, even weeks of travel. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 steps that will build your very own Panama Canal, your fast track to financial freedom, so you can retire early and on your own terms. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ryan D. Lee, and I achieved financial freedom in my 30s. I was able to walk away from a 6-figure corporate job, and I've been living outside of the proverbial rat race now for over 15 years. Now I'm here to show you how to do the same thing, to take back control over your financial future and to retire on your own terms, not Wall Street, not the conventional script. I was once in the same position, relying on the safe strategies that everyone talked about. But when I realized what was at the end of those strategies, I decided to make a different choice. But I'll never forget, in 2008, I was 5 years out of college. I had accumulated just over $100,000, and even though I didn't know what that meant, I felt like I was on track. But then 2008 happened. I watched my 401k drop like a rock, but the most important thing that I saw was all of my coworkers, people who I was modeling my life and my financial plan after. I watched people 20, 30, even 40 years ahead of me in the corporate world. All of their retirement dreams were falling apart right before their face. They realized that they wouldn't have enough to retire, that they'd have to work longer, and that they would have to start to sacrifice what their dreams were in retirement. For the first time, I realized I was on a path hoping for a different outcome than all of those guys were receiving, but yet I was doing the exact same thing. This, my friends, is the definition of insanity. I still had the same goal of retiring early, but I realized I had to do something different to get a different outcome. And that's what this video is all about. So I'm going to give you 3 core steps if your desire is to retire early. Step number 1 is you have to say goodbye to traditional retirement accounts. The first myth that we have to tackle in this video is this: if your goal is to retire early, you cannot use an IRA or a 401k. These will never allow you to retire early. In fact, they make early retirement nearly impossible. These accounts were built to keep you working until at least the age of 59 and a half, or let's just say 60. Traditional retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs, they lock up your money, penalizing you for accessing it before the age of 59 and a half. This keeps you firmly on the Wall Street timeline of graduating and working well through your 30s, into your 40s, all the way through your 50s. And if you don't have enough saved up by the time you're 59 and a half, you just keep going all the way through your 60s and early 70s. But I want you to consider this: even if you did have enough money in your 401k, let's say you worked hard, you saved hard, your market returns were phenomenal, and let's say at age 40, you had enough money that you felt like you could retire, and you turned to your IRA, the place that you'd been putting all of your money to gain income so you could be financially free. My friends, you cannot do it. You cannot take money out of your accounts before the age of 59 and a half without incurring a penalty for doing so. What this ultimately means is the 401k, the IRA, all of the traditional accounts that financial advisors perpetuate, these were not built for you if your goal is to retire early. So if they weren't built for you, who were they built for? I want you to consider this. Behind a 401k, behind an IRA, is actually who these accounts were built for. Nobody just puts their money into an IRA. They put their money in an IRA to get a perceived tax benefit, shifting their taxes to the future. Then this gives them the privilege to invest in the stock market. So let's break this down. And to do this, I'm going to refer to Andy Tanner's book called 401 Chaos. He has a phenomenal section in his book where he talks about who these accounts, these IRAs, these 401ks, these traditional retirement accounts, who they were actually built for. Now, if you don't know Andy Tanner, he is one of Robert Kiyosaki's advisors, and he explains the 4 rules that Wall Street follows with accounts like 401ks and IRAs. So let's go into those rules. Rule number 1 is they want your money. Consider this: every paycheck that you make, a portion of your paycheck goes directly into your 401k. This is feeding Wall Street's engine. It becomes automatic, almost invisible, but it's very real. Every 2 weeks or every month, however often you get paid, you're automatically sending money directly to Wall Street. Rule number 2 is they want you to think that you sending money to Wall Street, is free. Have you ever seen a bill for your 401k? Well, probably not. But Wall Street, they're not working for free, and I think we all kind of know this. There are fees, and those fees are kept hidden from you. It is almost impossible for you to know what your 401k costs, but there are very real costs associated with your account, and they add up massively over time. Rule number 3 is they want to hold your money as long as possible. This is why there's such a thing called early withdrawal penalties. They keep your money locked in their accounts where they're making money, ensuring Wall Street stays in control of your money as long as possible. And rule number 4, they want to give you your money back as slow as possible. When you finally do reach retirement age, they don't just hand you over all of the money in your 401k all at once. No, they want to distribute it to you back little by little, keeping control over your money and charging you fees as long as they possibly can. Now, in order for you to see this and to put some context behind this, I'm going to give you a very simple example. Let's say at the age of 25, you have dreams of retiring one day and you decide to follow the path that everyone else is following. You open up your 401k and you send your very first $1,000 to your 401k provider. All we're going to do in this example is we're going to track this single $1,000 over time with those 4 rules that I just gave you. Now, for this example, we're going to assign a rate of return that you're going to earn inside of the market, and let's just say it's 8%. Whether you think you're going to earn more or less, let's say it's 8% for this video. That means your $1,000 would grow to $148,000 by the age of 90, from age 25 all the way to the age of 90. And now you might be thinking to yourself, that's a long time, and it is. But here's the catch: that $148,000 of what would be possible if your $1,000 compounded at 8%, that's not actually what you get. After fees and deferred taxes, you're left with around $30,000 of what started out to be $148,000. Think about it. You took all the risk, you saved diligently, but Wall Street and the government took the lion's share of the profits. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, where did all the money go? So let me break it down for you really simple. With that $1,000 inside of a market-based account, let's say Wall Street is charging you a 2% management fee. Now that seems like a very small cost for the tremendous service that Wall Street is going to provide of growing that $1,000 to $148,000. But here's the thing I want you to consider. In that first year with $1,000, earning an 8% return, your 2% fee would cost you $80. Now, the crazy part about this simple 2% fee costing you $80 is that cost is deducted out of your account, meaning it doesn't just cost you $80. It's all of the future returns that $80 could have earned for you. Every single year, the bigger your portfolio gets, a 2% management fee is slowly eroding the value. And if we really consider this, if the market is earning 8%, but you're being charged a 2% management fee, your real return is only 6%. This further erodes and destroys your compounding. And with a 2% management fee from age 25 all the way to age 90, your account only grows to $40,000. Now, you might further be thinking to yourself, why am I holding the money all the way until I'm age 90? Well, go back to how retirement works, right? At age 65, you would just turn back to Wall Street and say, hey, start giving me a little bit of my account balance back every single month for a stream of income. Wall Street would still be holding onto your money, charging you those 2% fees. Now, if your account balance is $40,000 all the way at age 90, again, we have to remember you don't actually get your money back until you've satisfied your tax liability. So with a $40,000 accumulated balance from your original $1,000, you've deferred taxes on not just the $1,000, but on all of the interest that you've earned. And if we apply a 25% tax rate to a $40,000 balance between state and federal taxes, that means that comes right off the top. The government gets paid their share first, and you're left with what's left over, $30,000. So my friends, if you're serious about retiring early, you have to recognize that traditional accounts, they just won't get you there. You need to start choosing investments that align with your goals, not Wall Street's. Which brings me to step number 2, which is you need to start choosing investments that defy average. Now that we know that traditional retirement accounts, they won't work, let's talk about what does. Average returns are for average lives. If you want early financial independence, you need to go beyond average returns that things like the stock market promise. I want you to consider this. Everything in the world of traditional financial advice is all based on one word. It's based on average. That system is built for the average individual who's willing to work the average length of a career, who's hoping for an average return, and is likely living an average life. I know that you're not average because you're on this channel. Now, what that tells me about you is if you're playing a game governed by average, but you're expecting extraordinary results, you will always be dissatisfied playing that game. So if you want financial independence, you have to be willing to walk away from Wall Street. You need returns that go far beyond the typical 7 to 8% that takes decades to grow. This is where things like the passive income machine and especially real estate come into play. Did you know that every single investment has the ability, or at least the potential, to make a return in 4 separate ways? And it all comes down to how you're participating in that investment. I call this the 4 pillars of real wealth. Let's talk about what each one of these pillars are. Pillar 1 is appreciation. This is the increase in an asset's value over time. You buy low and you sell high. But here's the thing. Appreciation is largely out of your control. So consider it the icing on the cake. But pillar number 2 is cash flow. It's possible to invest in assets that have both appreciation and cash flow built into the same investment. Cash flow is where the real power lies. This is the consistent income that your investment produces, like rental income or dividends. It's money in your pocket now, not decades from now. This brings me to pillar number 3, which are tax advantages. Taxes are the greatest destroyer of wealth. Savvy investors, they know how to use the tax code to their advantage. They invest in real assets that offer real tax advantages to grow their wealth tax-free, or at least give them massive deductions on what they're doing. Reducing or eliminating your taxes is really the fast track to financial freedom. And pillar 4, the most powerful pillar of all, is leverage. Leverage is a multiplier. It allows you to control large assets with a smaller investment, boosting your returns. For example, putting a 20% down payment on a rental property lets you control 100% of the asset. Leverage, when used strategically, accelerates wealth building, and it helps you use inflation to your advantage. When you invest in assets with all 4 pillars in the same asset, you amplify your returns while systematically reducing your risk. I want you to think about this. If you're only relying on one pillar, appreciation, like in a 401k, your success hinges on one factor, and that factor, you cannot control it. Your entire future is based on public perception. How much are your mutual funds worth? Well, who gets to determine how much anything is worth? It's all based on what someone else is willing to pay for the funds that you're selling at some point in the future. Appreciation is 100% outside of your control. Now, the same goes with real estate. I cannot control the value of real estate, but what I can control is I can control how much rent I charge, how much cash flow I collect, and how I align my money with leverage and tax advantages. That makes appreciation, the thing I can't control, icing on the cake. But my friends, if the only way you're earning a return inside of your financial plan is through appreciation, you by default are playing a 40-year game minimum, hoping that your money will compound long enough and high enough for one day you to have enough money to be able to retire well in your 60s. But using the 4 pillars, it accelerates your returns. This is what allows you to start to consider the opportunity to retire 2, 3, even 4 times faster than the average individual. When your money is earning 4 separate returns all in the same investment, you accelerate your progress and achieve your goals so much faster. This brings me to the final step if you want to retire early, and it's mastering leverage. Leverage, my friends, is a game changer. If you're serious about retiring early, you have to understand leverage. Leverage isn't just debt, it's a strategic advantage. The wealthy use leverage to make their money work multiple times over. Leverage could mean using other people's money, resources, or even expertise to amplify your returns. It allows you to massively increase your return and make your money work so much harder. In fact, my friends, if you want to retire early, here's the secret that I need you to plant inside of your brain. Let this secret be planted in your brain as a seed and nurture it over time, and let this seed grow into something that can bear real fruit in the form of financial freedom. Your job as an investor is to convert fake dollars into real assets. In today's world, it is never been easier to build wealth, to achieve financial freedom using leverage. Now, my friends, I don't want you to think that the only form of leverage is financial leverage. There are actually 5 different types of leverage that you can master to accelerate your path towards early retirement. The first one is labor, leveraging other people's skills and time. The second one is capital, using borrowed money or invested money to increase returns. The third form of leverage is technology, systems, and automations. This allows you to amplify your reach, your productivity, and achieve greater outcomes with less input into the equation. And the fourth is media. This allows you to build influence, credibility, and reach a wider audience. You can use media in so many different forms to gain leverage. I mean, think about this video right here. I'm talking to you, whether you're watching the video on the day I drop it on YouTube or years after. I'm using media to leverage my voice and amplify my reach. Getting leverage on yourself, my friends, is the most important thing you can do. And I applaud you for being on this channel right here, right now, because I know who you are. You are a goal-driven individual. You are taking control over your money, and you want to use money as a tool to build and live a life that matters to you. So my friends, if you're ready to take action, drop a comment for me below. Let me know what your questions are as it relates to your money, and let me help you get more leverage, both financially as well as leverage on yourself, to accelerate your results. So hopefully this video helped give you a perspective of what's required if you want to retire early. True financial freedom, it's not reserved for a select few, but it does require breaking away from the safe strategies that Wall Street pushes. You need to be bold. You need to think differently. If this resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and let's take control over your financial future together. Let's rewrite the retirement playbook and put your financial future back in your hands where it belongs.